Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
So I want to say these two words, and I want to know if you've ever heard these words before. And if not, realize that it could be life-changing for you personally and professionally in addressing these two words and what is behind them. If you've heard these words before, are you working on it? I'm talking about limiting beliefs, limiting beliefs. These are things that are holding you back. You might not even realize them. We're going to dig into that today and increase your mind power, kind of prime your mind to achieve your goals, success, find joy in life. She helps people with this all the time. She offers spiritual, personal, relationship, and business coaching, hypnotherapy. She does energy work, workshops, seminars. She is a well-known author, and she's back with us. Dr. Joanne White is on the program today. How you doing?
Great. How you doing, Steve?
Very well. And this whole thing, limiting beliefs, when I realized what they were and addressed them, it really changed my life. I have to tell you, everything. I'm thinking back in my mind, what was limiting me, and it was a game changer. Gotta say, I can't express it anymore. Like, I want everybody to know, realize what's going on in your mind. What are limiting beliefs?
Okay, before we do that, okay, and I have a little bit of a backstory too, and that's important because many years ago when I was learning how to write, I think I mentioned this in another one of our podcasts, I did what was called mirror writing. I am neurodivergent, which we've discussed, and at that time, people didn't really know what that was. And basically, I was told from others that I wouldn't amount to much. Basically, my writing was the only way teachers could look at it was to hold it up to a mirror, which is why it was called mirror writing. And
Mm,
at that point in my life and in our time historically, um, there was something totally wrong with me as opposed as other people thought. And what happens is when you hear that, whether you hear that from professionals or family or whatever, or you're being compared to others, we can take that in. So I actually took that into my mind and made that part of what I was believing and thinking. And those thoughts became very, very automatic. And that's part of our limiting beliefs. When we start thinking about something, the thoughts start coming into our mind and they can be rapid and constant, and we feel that we have no control over them, which is
mm,
scary because they can come in very fast, they can sound loud, they can feel threatening. And for me, at that time, they were immobilizing, Steve. So I had to figure out how to get out of it, how to feel good about who I am, my dreams, my passions, my purpose. And I work with many people who are already challenged by those thoughts, those limiting beliefs. And
mm.
like you said, we have to question them. We have to be able to say, wait a minute, that's not really true. And but we believe it. And so
Yep.
we also have to change our belief system too. And I work with a lot of people wherein those beliefs take charge. They take over so that they take over in our interactions with people, in how we feel about ourselves, in what we do, in whether or not we feel that we can succeed in so many different ways. And it's really it can be life-threatening in so many ways because people
Mm,
feel, well, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I can't do anything. What's wrong with me?
yep.
And they start living that belief, that those thought out in their lives, in their interactions. What's important is that we do have the ability to shift them. And it's beautiful when we can do that. I work with a lot of people. They say, well, how do I do it? How do I do it? And there are ways to do it.
Hmm. There are actually a number of ways, which we'll get to. You you said something that I was going to bring up anyway, but I want to go back to it. Thinking that there's something wrong with you. thinking that, listen, we're all broken in some way. Let's be honest. Let's not ignore the elephants in the room. At least that's my belief. And how you define broken, it's not I don't mean it in a negative way. We all got stuff going on. It's okay.
I say we're perfectly imperfect or imperfectly perfect. We're never going to get to that perfection thing. Stop trying.
Let it go. Yeah, I did. I get it.
I
Uh,
did too.
part of all of this is the awareness of why you do what you do. When I say the word do, I'm referring to what's holding you back.
Conscious awareness is key. It really is. So thanks for bringing that up because I was going to talk about that. We have to first take a look at those thoughts and decide that we're not going to believe them.
Mm,
Because what happens is that as we keep telling ourselves those things, they become part of our thought programming and they become constant. But we can change that programming. I've done it by myself. I've helped other people, and when we do, it is life changing. So that awareness piece is key. It's about being conscious of what those thoughts are, not ignoring them. It's not like, okay, they don't exist. Not ignoring them because they affect our feelings and our actions, and we really have to be conscious of their influence on us in so many different ways. But we can change them. And
mm,
one of the ways to do that is to be able to shift it with a positive thought. And I always say, and people say, well, what if I don't believe it? And I say, it doesn't matter. Basically, we're just reprogramming your brain, reprogramming your mind. So, what you're telling your mind, what you're telling your subconscious is going in, and your mind is reproducing it. So, if you tell yourself, I'm a horrible person, and I'm not, if you tell yourself, I'm not worthy, and I'm not, you have to say, I am worthy. I am a
mm,
wonderful person. I am a caring person. And the more you do that, shifting it very quickly, the more those new thoughts become the new pattern, the new behavior, the new programming. And it's amazing. I just want to
mm.
tell you one other little quick story. This was when I was younger.
Sure.
Oftentimes we take on the influences of our family. My mother was told me that driving was dangerous. Driving was, and I wanted to drive. So when I first got into a car, I was thinking, oh, driving is dangerous. Something horrible is going to happen. My foot was shaking on the accelerator and I couldn't move because all I kept seeing was an accident in my mind and
Mm,
feeling it and thinking it. So, and what I did, and I actually call this cartooning your mind, is instead of seeing an accident, what I did was I produced in my mind a cartoon, and my car and another car was actually dancing in the air. And it just calmed me down. It made me feel a little bit lighter,
sure.
and I was able to drive. Now, that's a totally different aspect of it, but it's still part of reprogramming your mind to a new belief system, one that you want, one that's probably more true than all the negativity that we've taken on in our lives.
Absolutely. They're limiting beliefs because you believe something that is limiting you from enjoying life, essentially. I also call them reasons because when I looked at some of the things I do, I saw the reason for that is insert, whatever it is, all goes back to childhood. I'd have to think, the majority, the great majority of this is going back to childhood. But to your point with these reasons, you talk about the car. That was a direct thing. Your mom was telling you something. I get it. My mom was super overprotective. Guess what? I was overprotective with my kids. My youngest is 16, and I, only realized maybe like 7 years ago, wait a minute, what are you doing? Stop doing that.
Right.
And I let a lot go. But somebody's afraid, let's say, to get on an airplane. Now, they may not have heard, and I'm going hypothetical, love your feedback on this. They may not have heard planes are bad, planes can crash, plane. they may have had a situation when they were younger involving control. They didn't have control over something. So
Right.
now they're in this tin can 30,000 feet up and they don't have control over getting off of it. Or let's say that they got sick once, maybe from being on a carnival ride when they were a kid. Now they're
Yeah.
saying, well, if I go on that plane, it's moving, I may hurl. And how bad that's going to be, embarrassing for me, the passengers on the plane, all that. My point here is it may be connected to something that is not so obvious, right?
Right. And actually it could be affected to some, happening from something that happened, an accident. I've worked with people who had car accidents. They're
Sure.
terrified of driving or whatever, and you got to be able to shift that. So no matter where it's coming from, okay, there are techniques. One that I just told you, and well, I actually told you two, was one was cartooning it and making it a more
Hmm.
favorable one, and that's more lighthearted and fun. And the other one is just shifting those thoughts. But there's also a way that you can do it with visualization. And
Hmm.
visualization is very powerful. I usually link visualization and emotion so that you're seeing something, creating a vision in your mind, feeling it, feeling that belief. So let's use your example for a minute. Okay, so being terrified about being on a plane, no control or whatever. So you envision yourself getting on that plane, feeling confident, feeling good about yourself, knowing that everything's going to be all right, even though you're not the one that's driving it or, moving it around. And seeing yourself relaxed, enjoying yourself, maybe even watching something while you're on the plane and feeling comfortable, feeling safe, and seeing yourself safe, seeing yourself smiling, maybe talking to another passenger, just enjoying yourself, and also seeing when you land that everything is safe, you get your belongings, you feel I've arrived, I'm found, and
Hmm.
going over that in your mind with the vision, with the belief with the feeling can actually begin to shift that. Now, for
Yep.
some people, it's not immediate. It
Yep.
may take a little time, and patience is important. You've been programming that mind for who knows how long, right? And it's worth it. And my mind used to tell me horrible things. And now I have jokes with it. It says, "Nice job, Joanne," rather than "What's wrong with you?" And it's fun. It's
Yes.
quiet. I mean, when you have those negative thoughts, that negative programming, it's constant. What's wrong with you? Why can't you do that? And oftentimes we're compared to other people, even by family. They don't mean to do it to make us feel badly, but it's like, hey, look what your brother did. He's fantastic. And we think, oh,
Mm.
okay, something's wrong with me because I can't be him, right? But you can change that. And when you do, there's so much freedom.
It's the
I
best.
can't explain it
I
except
I got you. I totally. I don't know if I shared with you, and this is in kind of real time. Grown man afraid of needles and blood tests. Been for years. I don't know why. Maybe the fear of passing out. There was one time back in the day where the phlebotomist left the band on my arm after drawing blood, and she was talking to a coworker, and I'm sitting there like, just waiting, waiting. And then finally I said, "Excuse me, maybe we should take this off." She did, and like the release, I felt a little queasy. Maybe that's why I have this aversion.
yeah.
So I did what you did and what you suggest. I turned it around, and now I think of it as I'm going there to get some information for me. Might be good, might be bad, but either way, I'm doing it for me. I'm going to learn something. And after two tries at that, now I have it aced. I don't even think about it. I used to put off those blood tests when you schedule it, right? And it's coming up. And it's like, let me do it next week. Type, type, type. Next week comes along. Yeah, I'm busy. Oh, put it in there, schedule it for the following week. The last time I went for the routine blood test, just like talk to the passenger on the plane, talk to the phlebotomist. Had a wonderful conversation about spirituality. She was very spiritual. I was like, oh, check that out. And since then, that's some medical stuff come up. to the point where I had like 6 needles stuck in my neck, this going on, that going on. You know what I did? I laughed. It was funny. I was like, it almost turned into a game where it's like, when they have to numb you up, how much pain? What am I going to feel? And how am I going to react? Let's see. Let's give that a try, everybody, and then done.
Laughter and being able to make light of it, even though we don't feel that it is,
Hmm.
can also be very strategic in doing that, and that's important too.
Sure.
Remember something, and you mentioned this at the very, very beginning. You have to be conscious of them. If we pretend they don't exist, if we try to ignore them, if we just close our ears to it, you're not going to be able to change anything.
Yeah.
So it's about recognizing, facing them head on, feel them, face them, decide, no, this is not what I want. This is not what I choose. And actively and consciously make those shifts. We talked about visualization. We talked
Sure.
about positivity, creating a positive thought. We talked about the cartooning. And all of these ways include, and there are more, actually can help you feel good and change those limiting beliefs so that you feel more powerful and you're in control of your mind.
Yes.
And that people say, how can I be in control of my mind? There are so many thoughts that go on, but you can control the thoughts that are affecting your life,
Yep.
that are affecting your success, that are affecting your ability to learn, to grow, to thrive, and to move forward. And you can feel good about it because
Amazing.
you're doing the work.
Right. Now you're driving the car.
Right. But afterwards, it just happens automatically. And that's the beauty of it. Because after a while, after you've done that reprogramming, it's already there.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't have to convince myself anymore that I'm okay or that I can do something. I already get those thoughts that happen just automatically. They just come up because of what I've done. And that's a
Yeah.
blessing. That's a beautiful, beautiful blessing that is available to each one of us.
Yeah. It is truly a beautiful thing. And would you say that once you find yourself reprogramming, oh, that worked, and then the next situation presents, well, I'm not worried about that anymore. Do you find that you get confidence and faith in yourself, and also maybe some resilience? So when other things present, you're like, it's no big deal.
Yeah, and that's part of the belief system too,
Mm,
because when we believe we can change something and we see it happening, that belief, that conviction,
yeah.
that positivity can actually move into other arenas like you're talking about, Steve, that can make a difference in our lives. And we can see more success and feel good about who we are and also help other people feel good about who they are as well.
Mm.
That to me is also a gift.
Well, you're gifting us today with all this information. So
Thank you.
finding out why we do what we do, number of different modalities, hypnotherapy being one that you practice before we met, that was impactful for me. I knew it went back to my childhood and I kind of loosely connected things, but the hypnotherapy made it crystal clear. And no, I'll share, and I'm sure you know this technique where I confronted myself as a kid under hypnosis
Right.
and reassured myself. And it was emotional, but I was looking at myself under hypnosis as a kid and just said, I got you. Don't ever worry. I'll take care of you. Uh,
I've actually worked with people where we work with their inner child, and sometimes if they've been abused or they've been in negative situations when they're younger, it's about, like you said, what you did with your inner child, confronting your kid
yep.
and having your kid feel better. One time I was working with someone, and when we brought in the inner child, their inner child said, I don't like you, which
Ooh,
that was surprising. Okay.
wow.
Right. I've never heard that one quite like that before. And by the end of the session, the inner child was ready to be hugged and felt really good. And part of that was from beliefs and conditioning from other people during during his or her childhood that really kind of solidified that. But we can change that, and it's beautiful.
Mm. What do you want people to know? We're almost out of time, but what do you want everybody to know And number one, we all have this, right? We're all dealing with it to some degree.
Okay, that it's possible to shift those beliefs, to shift that mind chatter that's negative into something positive so that you feel in charge. You may not be in charge of the circumstance, but you can be in charge of the belief and the thought and be able to change it so that you feel good about yourself at the present moment and moving forward in your life. And that reprogramming is incredible. And what's also wonderful about it, Steve, is that the mind gets quiet. Like
Mm.
when you're beating yourself up in your mind, that some of those thoughts are constant and really seem loud and uncontrollable. And when you reprogram it, it's quiet, you can think, you can have time for other kinds of
Yeah.
things rather than feeling overwhelmed or burdened by everything that's going on in your mind and your head. And it's
Mm.
beautiful.
It really is. And I've noticed this too, where when situations come up, previously, I would sit with it for a long time, like a day. Oh my gosh, look what just happened. Whatever. It could be big, it could be little, but it's like, oh my, I can't believe how I got to deal with this. How am I going to fix that? How am I going to? Now, when those come up, yeah, call it. I'm triggered for a second, and I'm very chill, very low key. But things come up. Like what? I got to deal with this now. It's over and done in like
Yeah,
2 minutes.
it's
And
beautiful.
then I find it again, laugh at it. I find it like that evening or the next day, I look back on it and I think, what did that bothered me? Wow.
But it is important to face it. And when you do and you change it, yeah, it seems like nothing, but it
Like
was
nothing.
haunting, right? I had used to have floaters before I had eye surgery, and one of the technicians said, "So what are the floaters doing? I mean, where are they?" And I'm thinking, "Where are they? They're all over." I said, "Well, one is ski diving. One is actually on a race. One is, and they started to laugh. But I did that not just for them, but to make myself feel good. Humor also helps us get past some of the difficult challenges that we have, and it helps other people too.
Yeah.
So if you have a floater, is it ski diving? Is it, I mean, what is it having a race? Is it bicycling? What is it doing?
It's almost like the fundamental thing I've always heard. Identify your emotion or feeling, give it a color, give it a name.
Right.
Gave the floater a identity. They're doing something. Yeah, and I know for many this may sound ridiculous, and just like people might be listening or watching. Look at those two. What are you even talking about? It works, and it works very well. And
Yes.
we're scraping the surface here. When you go deep, when somebody works with you with those different modalities to figure out why we do what we do, it's life changing. And you said the word, you said the F word, freedom. You have this newfound freedom. The chains come off.
Yeah. And yeah, because otherwise we're imprisoned by our thoughts. And you basically think about it, you're imprisoning yourself.
Yeah.
And they happen usually very unconsciously, but when you take charge, and that word conscious control that you mentioned very early on is very essential in the process. And
Hmm.
have fun with it,
Yeah.
like
It
we
is.
are right now, right?
It is, and I bet you and myself, in our mind, when we look back to what we used to do or how we used to act in situations, and now it is kind of funny. Like I used to do that. Why? That's kind of why did I do that? Well, I know why I did it, but now it's changed. We'll say this though: you can't do it alone. You have to have some support. You can't go on the internet.
Right.
You might get a little insight there, but it goes deeper if you really want to effectively, like, literally repower your mind. How
Right.
does somebody connect with you?
And you also need to be patient because it
Yeah.
may not happen in a split second.
Yeah.
So I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. I love getting people to email me, Joanne at docwhite.org. That's the short version. And I'm available. I love helping people. It makes me feel good. And it's such an empowering moment for to see somebody, not just for me, but to see somebody that was feeling imprisoned by their mind chatter, their mind, to suddenly feel good about who they are and be able to move forward without those constraints
Mm.
and those
It
chains.
It truly is a beautiful thing. And there's so much out there to support. You have meditations for peace and balance. You've got programs to truly understand gratitude and how that can move
Right.
your life forward. And even for kids, I mean, bullying. You've you've got so many resources out there. Go to the website, start the conversation, be free. Feels good, really does. Uh,
drjoannewhite.com is the website.
yeah, Joanne, thank you so much for being here today. Really appreciate it.
Steve, thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Same. And we'll catch up soon. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.